Hi, welcome again back to the India Leaders Conclave. My name is Gerald Carroll, and I'm the Customer Workflows Leader for ServiceNow across Asia Pacific and Japan. And today I'll be talking with Sandesh Govalkar, who's the Vice President of Technology for Angel Broking and has a storied career through a number of financial services companies across India. So to kick off things, Sandesh, do you want to give a quick introduction to yourself and a little bit of your background?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gerald, and thanks ETH for arranging this. So I'm Sandesh Govalkar, currently working with Angel Broking as Vice President of the Technology Department, handling enterprise technology. And general born and brought up in Mumbai, India, and by education I'm a commerce graduate, but fortunately or unfortunately, you may say, I have landed in technology. So by profession, I'm a technology, but by education, I'm a commerce graduate. That obviously that helped me a lot because in my role, I also handle IT finance, all budgeting and all. So commerce helped me a lot over there. I did my graduation from Mumbai. Never, I was not a good student because I was more inclined to technology. So always I used to skip college and do some technical stuffs right from assembling PCs those days. I think in late 80s or 80s, people used to assemble computers. So you buy spare parts from different components from different stores and then assemble, and then voila, then you get that feeling of bringing that life into that machine. So you install operating system, install drivers, connect internet. I went through that mode of my life, and then that's how I thought, like, let's continue this. And so from then onwards, I was more inclined towards technology. Started at this normal hardware engineer guy, used to assemble PCs, then moved to internet. That point in time, cyber cafes were there. So internet was costly and hard to get. So people used to pay for 15 minutes, half an hour to get access to the internet in cyber cafes. So started working on internet, did some work over there. Fortunately, I got opportunity to work with Tata SP, currently known as Tata Communication. So that point in time, it was VSNL. They acquired VSNL. It was a largest ISP in the in the country. So was working in their central NOC, managing entire POP location. Did my some Cisco certification while working in the NOC. And after that, my stint was in BFSI, BPO sector when I joined WNS. So in ISP, I used to do all routing. In WNS, I used to do switching and firewalls, internal security, and all those things. Working 24/7 for their global customers, along with my team. And after that, my first stint was in BFSI when I joined Mira Asset. It's a Korean company. They're into AMC business, and did greenfield project for them right from the initial days when they applied license to do business in India, rolled out AMC business. I was among first few employees who joined them. After that, again, I got the opportunity to work for Netherlands-based company called ING. It's a global banking insurance firm. So I was heading AMC business for India for ING Mutual Fund. recently, a few years back, I got opportunity to work with Indian conglomerate Edelweiss for their NBFC business. And recently, I think last year, I joined uh, Angel Broking as Vice President of Technology. So that's my career path, ups and downs, and then I did many things, many uh, new adventures in my career as well as in while I was working or in between jobs. I switched industries. If you see my career graph, I started from hardware to uh, ISP to BPO to BFSI. In BFSI also, I work for AMCs, NBFCs, now in broking. Did many experiments. In between, I was jobless for close to 3 years when ING decided to exit India market,
Yeah.
not only India, Asia market. So they have to close their entire business, Asia business. Uh, didn't like working, so I did some consultancy, joined some startup, burned my hand in these areas, and then again back to normal corporate job. Technology is exciting, and I think I'll I'll, I'll be like this. I think throughout my life.
So I think, like, one of the kind of things I think is very interesting in this series and in these stories is understanding the route that people take to get to the job that they're in today. And I think a lot of people kind of like would see something like, let's say, ING pulling out as a real, and then going into the startup route and realizing it wasn't for you, as something that would maybe mentally block them from getting back into kind of the regular market. So how did you get back into business from there?
Difficult time. I can still in pandemic. I can see many of my friends uh, who are in the same situation because of this pandemic, who has been going through pay cut or layoff and still finding it difficult to run the show or get the job new in this market. I can very well relate to that. I was a little nervous and disappointed when ING took that decision, and because I was heading the uh, technology department, I was the second last or third last employee to exit ING, because I have to do entire winding up. So HR system needs to be there still. Last employees full and final get settled. All branches needs to be closed. All vendor payments needs to be cleared. So I was, I think, second or third last employee to exit this. Until that time, um, I couldn't look for another job. I couldn't switch because that was my responsibility. And then I was little maybe disappointed, nervous, or little. Uh, I I couldn't digest that MNC like this company will leave their employees as it is. So for some time, I didn't look for any job. I was just uh, relaxed, took a break, and when I was looking for a job, then I couldn't find a suitable job, maybe, or maybe I was not ready mentally. I was not ready to take any new assignment. Then I started consultancy. People took advantage, obviously. They do when you don't have any choice. They took advantage of you. Then few startups approached me because of my experience. They onboarded me, worked for them for close to 9 years. Sorry, 9 months, but they didn't pay me a single penny. So
But it
always
might
they
have felt
say,
like 9 years.
yeah. So always they used to say, we'll give you the check next month. Next month, the investors are coming. We are getting funds and all those things. So after 9 months, I said, I'm chasing for someone else's dream. So that startup was someone else's dream, but I'm spending money out of my pocket. I'm putting fuel in my car and running around bushes, and then I'm spending money for their dream projects, and I'm not going to get paid anytime. So I I I left that organization. Consultancy was good, but I didn't need it for any monetary purpose. All CIO friends, we have a CIO group, club, many platforms for CIO. So I did some consultancy for them at free of cost, just to be in uh, the stream.
Yep.
They helped me a lot. In fact, I got a moral support from my fellow CIOs, uh, and fortunately, the company which I uh, joined in 2007, Miraset, that's a Korean group. They again approached me and they said we are starting a new business in India, and we couldn't think of anyone else other than you. So please join us as a head of IT. Start this company. Again, I joined them as a
And did that come from that CIO network, or did that
no
come from
no
kind of a previous connection, or?
yeah. So previous connection. So the CFO of Miraset, he called me and he said we are starting a new entity, and we want you to be heading that technology. So again, greenfield project. I joined on the same day they formed the company. I think right after CEO, and we built that company.
I think
So
that's just great sharing, particularly as you mentioned, Sandesh. A lot of people are struggling at the moment, right? You know,
yeah,
there will be people who are entering their career and struggling to get started, but there's also a lot of mid-career people who
true.
the company's pulled back. They might have been they're just unlucky that they're in the wrong industry, like hospitality, say, or something in those sorts of areas. And I think, you know, the big takeaway for me from that is to stay networking, keeping your finger on the technology, but also to maintain that network, build that network, and like the opportunities will come.
Sure.
So I think that's very like a very honest, great sharing, because a lot of people, when they look at a CIO or they look at a VP of technology, they think, oh, it's just gone straight to the top, and they don't see all of the challenges and all of the, you know,
True.
frankly, some of the pain and some of the stress that
Yeah.
has gone into getting there, right?
Yes. And being there and uh, keep you there and maintaining that position is difficult. And once you lose that CIO hat, it's very difficult to again get back into the same industry. So if you see, uh, in my team, I have recruited in this pandemic, like in this year only, right from the month of February or March, I recruited close to 9-10 people at head level, and all are in the same boat. They lost their job in pandemic. They were jobless for a few months or few years, but we knew each other from long time, and I think I feel that we should give opportunities to these people. So they work hard for us, for the company. They are loyal because they knew that someone helped them in this pandemic, in this
Someone took a
situation.
chance on them. Yeah.
Yes. So and they are good, hardworking people, and I knew them from so many years.
When you're pulling in people like that, like would that often be from different industries, like different industry backgrounds? Obviously in the technology space, but are you normally hiring, like building a team of people who have pure financial experience, or are you also looking at other industries for that kind of diversity?
What I handle is mainly three functions. One is IT projects and IT infrastructure. Uh, Second is IT operations, that comes employee onboarding and end user related, all
Yep.
end user computing. And third is IT finance, which has IT budgeting, procurement to payment, everything. So obviously, IT finance, you need the person who is from procurement and finance, who understand capex, opex, vendor payment, taxation. So that is not industry specific. That person needs to know the technology equipment, their structure and contracts and all those things, agreements, NDA. IT operation person needs to know end user computing. So again, it's not industry specific, any industry can do. IT infrastructure and projects, again, doesn't matter. As far as he knows IT infrastructure, in projects, maybe email or CRM like Salesforce or ServiceNow or Oracle, uh, G Suite, O365. So all these areas are not industry specific as such. Over and above, we have regular audits where industry specific audits, where auditor take care, like you are guided and you comply to the regulation. So in my department, though industry knowledge matters, but doesn't really. I don't care if he's from industry or from manufacturing or retail or real estate.
One of the other things you mentioned earlier on, which I find really interesting because it's very similar to my background. I studied chemistry and then moved into the IT space. And I've always found that the analytical skills you learn in chemistry have been very helpful to me, even though I've never used much of the rest of my degree. But it sounds like you as well have gotten a lot of like that leg up from having a commerce degree but being in IT because technology was the area of your interest. Like, how has that kind of helped you through your career?
So as I mentioned, in IT finance, you play with numbers. When you prepare a budget, you need to know the numbers for entire IT budget. So commerce helped me in IT finance. Apart from that, IT infrastructure and IT operation projects, those are all learned experience over these years. So you meet partners like you in, now it's a virtual world,
Yep.
but till 2 years back we used to meet in seminars, events, physical conferences, and
I remember.
yes, yes, and those are the days where you take the knowledge from your partners or industry colleagues like fellow CIOs, and plus you do projects for your own organization where you evaluate multiple projects, do POCs, and obviously you have more than 21 years of experience. So went through all these phases. So core remains same, right? Whether it's infrastructure now, I think this generation they wouldn't know how the server look like, whether it's a red color or blue color. They'll ask physical server.
Yep.
We are of that generation where we used to pull out servers from boxes, put a railing kit and mount those servers. We know how router and switches look like, right? All these networking devices or any IT infrastructure.
Yep. My first
I
job
think
was at Tricom. At 16, I was upgrading all of their equipment
firmwares and all
from
those
Windows NT. That was kind of, and building laptops like
Correct.
yourself. So
So
it kind of brings me back.
yeah, so our basics are very strong and clear. We know IP addressing scheme, how cable connects to each another. So I think our learning is fast, where the current generation, they are in a virtual world. So everything on cloud. So what, click of a button, they can create VLAN, but they don't know where this VLAN get created. They couldn't imagine the physical box, right? Yeah, when you roll out any EC2 instance on AWS, they don't know how server look likes and what is the role of memory and hard disk. They don't understand or they don't differentiate uh, whether storage and memory is the same or difference. So for us, I think it's easy, and then immediately we can ask for upgrade. If we can ask for uh, many things like. So these are all uh, experiences. It was fun, obviously, to be in this situation and in this position. You'll have to upgrade yourself. Uh, every time. And then we learned everything whenever there is a new technology.
And speaking of that, what are the kind of new technologies that you see coming out at the moment that, are really front of mind for you?
So currently, I think in this pandemic, I think the end user computing is very critical because everyone is working from remote place. The times were gone where people used to be in a one perimeter of office or branch or go down where IT team can put a firewall, IPS, IDS and restrict the traffic, restrict the control of applications. And now this pandemic has have forced everyone to remove that perimeter. So everyone is allowed to work from home. In fact, highly regulated industry like AMC business or broking business or banking, even they are allowing their employees to work from home. So I think perimeter is vanished. So instead of having head office and 10, 20 branches, now the IT team is managing, let's say if they have a 5,000 employee, they are managing 5,000 branches virtually. Each employee's residence or their laptop is a branch. So securing this endpoint is, I think, if you'll ask me personally, is critical, as well as giving secure access to the application hosted out of maybe cloud or on-premises through these laptops. So these 2 points, to tackle this, we must have a EDR in place to secure the endpoint devices, and we must have a zero trust network architecture to give a seamless and secure access to the applications. These are the 2 things I think we must have. These are the hygiene factor going forward.
I think adding to that, the controls and compliance around that as well.
Yeah, that will come automatically along with these 2.
All right, and with that, I think we can wrap up there. And I want to thank you, Sandesh, for your time today. I think it was incredibly insightful, and I hope it will be helpful to our listeners. And I'd like to thank ET Edge for hosting this session today as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gerald. Thank you, ETH. Yeah, bye.